So, The Departed, amazing. Goodfellas, amazing. The Aviator, amazing. Martin Scorsese could do no wrong. Yeah, that's not necessarily true. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be another classic movie review for you guys, obviously. This time I'm going to be reviewing to a movie that I was really looking forward to. I was literally really looking forward to this movie because after watching these three movies by Martin Scorsese, I was really looking forward to this movie as well. And it is the 2003, by the way, I was looking all over for this movie. I was planning on watching it on this site called Vio's, and I didn't want to watch it on there because it, randomly skips for me. It's really annoying. But I found this DVD in my library, and I really wanted to watch it, and it is the 2003, drama classic, I'll say, drama classic, I don't know, drama, action, adventure classic, Gangs in New York. This was a movie I was really looking forward to. I really was looking forward to it because of the other three Martin Scorsese movies I had seen. Obviously, this movie is directed by Martin Scorsese, in case you guys didn't know that. But it is directed by Martin Scorsese, and I was really looking forward to it because of that. And, unfortunately, how was Gangs in New York? Unfortunately, Gangs in New York was not as good as I wanted it to be. It's probably my second least favorite Martin Scorsese movie. My least favorite is Hugo. That movie I did not like Hugo. I mean, seriously, that was my first Martin Scorsese movie. Not a good movie to watch for your first Martin Scorsese movie. Make sure the first Martin Scorsese movie you watch is Goodfellas, or else you're not going to want to watch Martin Scorsese movies. But, I was really looking forward to this movie, especially because it has my favorite actor, Leonardo DiCaprio, in it. And I was slightly disappointed by this movie because of a couple things. Now, this movie, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. This is not a rant. This is a sort of rant, because there were things in this movie that depressed me. By the way, that got me a little bit upset. By the way, this movie is from 2002, not 2003. The DVD said 2003. But, this movie I was really looking forward to. And basically, the story of this movie is it's probably one of the most confusing Martin Scorsese plots I can talk about. Basically, the story follows these two gangs in New York. One is, basically, they are the 5 Points, Lower Manhattan's 5 Points in 1846. And basically, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Amsterdam, his father is basically the head of these gangs. And he basically, his father's the head of the gangs. And, the big enemy of the other gang, the rivals. Now, basically, these two gangs, the way they work is, one of them, they have to do with Irish immigrants coming into New York, because this was about the time when this was happening. Leonardo DiCaprio's group wants the Irish immigrants to come to New York, while Daniel Day-Lewis's group does not want this to happen, and basically opposes it, and doesn't want anything, he thinks of them as, racist people. He's, very racist in the movie, but that's pretty much how he is in the movie, so basically, Leonardo DiCaprio's dad actually ends up dying. This is not a spoiler, because I'm in the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's not a spoiler at all. And basically, Leonardo DiCaprio, leaves, his town. He comes back a bunch of years later, in 1860-something. Basically, after years of incarnation, he, comes back to New York, and he really wants to seek revenge on the guy Cutler, I think his name is. He killed his father. But basically, his personal vendetta becomes part of the gang warfare that erupts as he and his fellow Irishmen fight to carve a place for themselves in their newly adopted homeland. Yeah, I know this movie is extremely hard to explain. Because it's so hard to explain, I'm literally reading what's on the DVD. That's how hard this movie is to explain. And that's one of the hugest problems with this movie, is that this movie is very confusing, and it shouldn't be. It really should not be. The acting in this movie, let's get to that. Let's get to the positives of this movie first. The acting is amazing. The acting is the best part of this movie by far. I thought the acting was perfect in this movie. I have no problems with the acting. I thought the acting was very good. Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, he's my favorite actor for a reason, and this movie is why. He did a great job in this movie. No, this was not my favorite performance of his. My favorite is still The Aviator. Probably one of my favorite movies in general. But, he still did a very good job in this movie. I liked his character. I thought he played a very good character. I felt like, the only problem I had with his acting was I just didn't feel as connected to his character as I did with the other characters. I really liked his character, don't get me wrong. I just didn't feel as connected to his character as I wanted to be, and that's one of the problems I have with this movie. Daniel Day-Lewis was, in my opinion, the best. Like, he was such a great villain. The whole thing with he not knowing that he is actually the son of the guy that he killed, I thought that was genius. You know, the way that he doesn't tell him, I thought that was honestly genius, the way that was done. I thought that was handled very, very well, and I really enjoyed that about the movie. I thought that was definitely very, very well handled, the way they did that. I really enjoyed that. Cameron Diaz was actually very good. In my opinion, this is the best acting I've seen from Cameron Diaz. I usually don't think she's that good of an actress. I mean, she's hot, but that's really it. This is the hottest she's been, by the way, in this movie. This is the hottest I've seen her. But she was very good in this movie. One of the things I don't like about one of the things I do like about this movie is this is no love triangle here. This movie makes you think it's a love triangle between he likes her and he likes her. That has nothing to do with it. No, he likes her and that's all there is to it. He wants to kill her, basically. I thought she did a very good job, though, in the movie. I really like the chemistry between her and Abraham. This is not Turn. Amsterdam. I thought they had very good chemistry. I liked the love she had for him. And she did a very good job at that. I thought she definitely was very, very good in that role. I thought she did definitely a very good job. There were a couple of supporting roles, but the problem with this movie is that the supporting roles I really did not give a shit about. I really didn't. I did care about one character. There was one other character I cared about, and that was, what was his name? Henry Thomas as Johnny. He was Abraham's best friend. Very interesting character. I really like where they went with his character. I thought his character was very interesting. I'll get to that in the spoilers, but his character is definitely very interesting. And John C. Reilly's character as well. I thought he was good. But, you know, other than those characters, I really didn't give a shit. You know, other than those characters, I really didn't give a shit about any of the other supporting roles in the movie. And that's kind of a problem for me, because in most of the Martin Scorsese's movies so far, I've loved every single character. And this movie, I really was not feeling it. I'm like, there's something this movie is missing, and I'll talk about what it's missing in a second. The directing of Martin Scorsese is still great. I had no problem with his directing. His directing does not affect this movie at all. His directing is fine in this movie. The cinematography in this movie is, wow, it's amazing. It's amazing to look at. It's beautiful to look at, like beautiful cinematography. Definitely this movie is very, very good cinematography. I definitely think it deserves, I believe it got nominated for Best Cinematography, and it definitely does deserve that. Definitely it does deserve that, and I definitely think, it definitely does deserve that. Martin Scorsese did win Best Director for this, which he pretty much always does for a lot of his movies. Well, he didn't win for Wolf of Wall Street, but, definitely he did win for this movie, and I do think he deserves it because he did direct this movie very well. I thought he directed it very well, and I liked the directing. The editing of this movie. Here's where I have the most problems with this movie. This movie has very bad editing. Very bad editing. Okay. This movie is split into 2 discs. Why? Why is this movie so long? And here's the thing. You're saying, oh, so you can watch The Aviator and love it, but you can't love Gangs of New York? I wanted to love this movie. I really did. And I'm not saying I hate this movie. I really like this movie. Would I watch it again? Maybe, sure. If it's on TV, sure. Is it my favorite Martin Scorsese movie? No. It's probably my second worst. The editing in this movie is very, very choppy. There are scenes that could have been cropped. There are so many scenes in this movie that could have been cropped. When you don't have any deleted scenes for a movie, that is a problem. When you have no deleted scenes for your movie, that is a problem, because there are a handful of scenes in, I'd say, the second half of this movie that should be cut out. The first half of this movie is fine. The second half is where things start to get a little bit choppy. I thought the second half, there were a bunch of scenes you could have just cropped out. I had no problems with, cut that scene, cut this scene, that would have been fine. There are a couple scenes you could have cut out, and I would have been fine with that. I feel like this movie is way longer than it needs to be. It is 167 minutes, and together the movie's like 2 hours and like almost 3 hours. The movie's almost 3 hours long. That's how long this movie is. And the movie does not need to be that long at all. It does not need to be that long, and I feel like it is way too long for, the length of this movie. This movie should have been 143 minutes. That is the perfect length for this movie. No longer than that, I would have been fine with that, because that would have been fine. If you took out a third of this movie, that would have been fine. The third of this movie is just a bunch of pointless bullshit. There are scenes in the second half of this movie that's like pointless bullshit that I didn't really care about. That's the only thing I didn't care about in the movie. Other than that, the movie was good. The only other problem I do have with this movie is the story is not that interesting to me. I was not as connected to this story as I was with these three movies. And you could say, you know, Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, yes, I saw those too, but these three are really the ones that got me to love Martin Scorsese as a director. And, you know, the thing with Gangs of New York is I really wanted to love this movie. As I said, I really wanted to love it. And the first half, I really liked it. I'm like, this is a really good movie. The second half, I thought the movie got a little bit too choppy, and there were scenes that need to be cut out. And the reason I say second half is because, as I said, this is split into two discs. This is the first half, and this is the second half. And the second half, I just felt, just got a little bit choppy. And that's one of the problems I have with this movie. Let's get to the spoilers, though. If you guys have not seen Gangs of New York, I do have a couple spoilers. And the spoilers, there is one spoiler that is kind of a reason why I didn't like this movie. Okay, so let's talk about the spoilers in this movie. I loved the scene between, Bill and Amsterdam when he finally killed him. I thought that scene was very well done. I had no problems with that scene. What I really did have a problem, though, with was, John C. Reilly's hanging. I didn't care. I really didn't care about his character. I wanted to, but I didn't really care about his character, and I just thought it was not well done at all. Like, it was just like, ugh. And the other problem I have with this movie is the tension seemed like it was building up in scenes, and then would cut to, like, a fun scene. That's not what I like. That's not one of the things I liked here, because in The Departed, when the movie gets dark, it is dark. In Goodfellas, when the movie is dark, it is dark. In The Aviator, when the movie is dark, it is dark. And much like most of Martin Scorsese, the difference with this movie is, you know how I said in most Martin Scorsese movies, the movie starts out one way and then it, like, changes to a different tone? That's not the case with this movie. This movie really does not know what it wants to be. Does it want to be a very serious drama? Does it want to be an action movie? Does it want to be a thriller? Does it want to be a suspense movie? It does not really know what it wants to be, and that's one of the big problems I have with this movie. I had a big problem with that about this movie, and I just thought there was definitely a big problem I have with this movie, definitely. It was just that the movie really does not know what it wants to be, and I kind of have a problem with that. It's nothing against, you know, the acting I said was very good, directing very good. I do recommend you guys check out this movie, but I'm going to tell you guys, you probably are going to be disappointed by this movie. I was disappointed by this movie. You guys are going to be too. There's a reason why this movie didn't win any Academy Awards. Because it's not as good as ever. It's not really as good as his other movies. This movie is overhyped, okay? I hate to say it, but it is overhyped. People do overhype this movie. People do say it's a very good movie. I'm not saying it's not a very good movie. It is a very good movie. It is a movie that I recommend you guys check out at some point. But this, in particular, I was not as connected to it as I wanted to be, and that was a major problem for me, and I really wish I was more connected to this movie. I wish this would have been a very positive review for you, but it wasn't as positive as I wanted it to be. By the way, what is up with the ending of this movie? The ending of this movie, we randomly see Amsterdam's grave, and then we see, like, the World Trade Center, Brooklyn Bridge. I don't know what that's really trying to show. If it's trying to show, like, this is how far we've come in New York, but I really don't know. Also, the movie was actually heavily complained for historical accuracy, and to me, I had no problem with that, because honestly, it's just like, who gives a shit about historical accuracy? Just enjoy the movie and watch it. If it's a good movie, that's what matters. You know, that's pretty much what it's like if I say it's not true to the book. You know, just if it's a good movie, enjoy it, and it matters. It doesn't matter to me. But for this movie, I kind of understand why they said that, but at the same time, I didn't really care, because I wasn't as connected to the story as I wanted to be. The story was just not as interesting. The acting is what saved this movie for me, the directing is what saved this movie for me, and the cinematography is what saved this movie for me. And because of that, I just did not like the movie as much as and, you know, because of the editing, though, and because of the choppy editing, because of a couple scenes that need to be cut, because of a couple characters that shouldn't have been in there. You know, most of Martin Scorsese's movies have a very large cast, and I didn't have a problem with that in these three movies, but in this movie I did. That's what I didn't like about this movie, was that issue. I didn't want that issue with the movie, and unfortunately this movie was just not as good as I wanted it to be, and I was pretty disappointed by it. No, it's not a bad movie. No, it's not a perfect movie, but it is a good movie, and I do recommend you guys check it out, and it is a good movie. I do recommend you guys check it out. It does, by the way, Daniel Day-Lewis's performance, by the way, best performance in his entire career, in my opinion. But that's basically my review of Gangs New York. Again, I don't want you guys to think this was a negative review. It really wasn't. I liked this movie. I did. I liked it, but I didn't love it like I wanted to, like his other ones. But that's it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for another classic movie review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.